No!
Dick Van Dyke did a better Cockney accent in Mary Poppins.
Okay.
That's pretty true.
Okay, how about I do that then?
No.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim.
You have to watch out for triggers, but the thing is, everything is a trigger.
As lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiroo.
So I got my treadmill fixed.
Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you.
It is Frightday. This is episode 40. I'm your host, Byron, and tonight we're reviewing an odd film about old people called The Visit. And Kelly's Great Britain Phantom Fascination continues as we cover the infamous Enfield Poltergeist in this week's edition of Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies.
What?
I'm joined tonight by Kelly.
Hello.
And
Hello.
Please don't do that. And Sam.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
It's offensive what you're doing to those people.
Well,
They're tuning in. This is...
they can make fun of my American accent. I don't blame them.
Guys, I'm going to fall asleep.
I know.
Don't fall asleep.
I'm dying.
Don't drink caffeine either, though.
It's okay. I haven't been sleeping a lot because I've been working on all that hide and seek October exclusive stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's good stuff.
Lots of glow in the dark.
Are you going to make a movie again this year?
I think I am going to do another short. Yeah, I've been doing Halloween shorts every year for the past 2 years.
I don't know if you can say every year if it's just been the past 2 years.
I can now if I do it this year, right?
Yeah, then you can say like every year for the past 3 years. But I think when it's two, you can just say I've done it the last 2 years. I think I'm going to do it this year too.
Okay.
What were the themes of the last two that you did?
Let's see.
Halloween.
Well, the first one was witches. The second one, I did 2 last year. So one of the ones from last year was like a home invasion 80s slasher, and then some sort of woods ghost for the other one that I really liked how it turned out. They're all like VHS quality, super fun.
They look awesome.
Maybe I'll post them with the episode notes on this on Frightday.com.
Absolutely. Any ideas for this year's?
I know I'm going to be in a cellar.
Ooh.
That's all.
Cellar.
Cellar door.
It's going to be good.
That's probably something some of our Frightday listeners don't know about you, is that you're a spectacular photographer and videographer.
What are you doing?
True.
Now I got the blush going.
Sorry.
It's okay. They
People
can't
should know
see you.
that about you.
They can't see you blush.
We talk a lot about horror, but you know.
Well, I appreciate that, Sam. Yeah, I love doing those little shorts. Can't wait to share them, and I can't wait to shoot them. I'm very excited. Shoot. Well, yeah, I shoot. I shoot things.
What's he supposed to?
Shoot.
I done capture the moving pictures onto camera.
I think you should play a serial killer.
Me? Mm-hmm. I'm not an on-screen talent. I'm a behind-the-scenes kind of guy.
Maybe you should try and wing both sides of it.
Believe me, if I didn't have to talk on this podcast, do you know how happy I'd be?
Yeah.
If I could just run these knobs and make things sound sweet?
Hello.
No, okay, see, that's the reason I'm here.
Byron, you got the levels all off. Did you just hear that?
Yeah, the squelching Ello.
Hello.
All right.
Come on, produce that.
I'll produce the show now. Sam.
Yes, sir.
What'd you do this week?
I took care of some business I've been meaning to take care of for a while now.
Are you
That's great.
Are you moving the stuff from the cellar to the crawl space?
Yeah. And there was dust. No, in a good way. I'm just kind of embarrassed it took me this long. I watched Hatchet.
Oh, okay.
And Hatchet 2.
You watched them both?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
So I saw a tweet where you were asking permission to start with the second movie.
Well, I'm embarrassed. I'm lazy, and it was there on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh, let's watch this.
Because the first one is not streaming on Netflix.
Yeah, I believe that there are different production companies, some issues. So it turns out that that's not a good idea.
Sure. Adam Green told you not to do that, and so did I.
Yeah, he was nicer than you were.
Did I call you a monster?
It was either a monster, you called me the worst person.
So it was somewhere in between, probably, yeah. I wouldn't have started in the middle because they kick off right where each other end.
Yeah, sequentially. It's like Adam Green said, it's shot like one long movie. Digging Up the Marrow, we all watched that, and I thought it had a lot of promise. It was maybe not quite up to expectations for me.
Yeah. think we were all a little bit disappointed. I mean, not saying it's a bad film.
We had
but
overhyped it for ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good film. So I wasn't really sure what to think of Adam Green's earlier work. I loved Hatchet.
Oh, really?
I really enjoyed it.
I'm happy to hear that because, yeah, I think it is right up your alley. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, just fun and a pure tribute to all the things that I loved about the 80s gore-soaked slasher movies. There's tons of gratuitous nudity. I only mention that.
We're selling it to the kids.
The needless gratuitous nudity was critical to the plot.
I'm sure.
I mean, I actually don't know if that's true. It
sounds downright mucky.
There are two characters that are porn actresses, and one played by the lead of God Bless America. Also,
can we talk about how much I hate the trend of porn actresses in horror?
I don't think they were real porn actresses.
No,
they were actually playing porn actresses.
Oh, okay. Good enough then.
Bill Murray's brother, Joel Murray, plays a porn maker.
Producer.
Yeah.
He's seriously Bill Murray's brother?
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Isn't that crazy?
I love that. And Mercedes McNabb, who played Harmony in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series.
Yeah.
The kills in Hatchet are so fantastic.
I completely agree.
So ridiculous, so bloody.
Is the first one the one that had the sandpaper?
Yeah, the grinder.
The grinder.
Yeah, the sander, I guess. Yeah, the gas-powered sander.
Oh, great sander.
Yeah, so fantastic. It was very tongue-in-cheek. Didn't take itself seriously.
It was a response to all the torture porn and like the real serious dark films of the mid 2000s.
Yeah, 2006. It didn't make any statements. There was no message. It was just fun. It was sit back, eat popcorn, and watch as people get brutally dismembered by a hideous monster with a quasi-believable origin story.
Victor Crowley.
Oh.
Were you able to watch the second one?
I then watched the second one.
And what are your thoughts on the switch of our Scream Queen, of our final girl?
I don't feel like it detracted anything.
It took a couple minutes for me to honestly be aware of the switchover, which is weird because it's Danielle Harris.
It's funny. I was totally immersed in this movie, and I'm like you. I just kind of took it for granted that that's what was happening. And then, it was a few minutes in. I was like, oh, interesting. I don't think I like the second one quite as much. Maybe it didn't feel quite as fresh.
And it fell victim to one of my least favorite situations in these sequels, which is the military. The escalating level of resistance.
Yeah, like when you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you finally fuck up bad enough that...
You got your 4s and your 5 stars.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like that as much. It did have some good kills, though.
It did.
I still think it's a fun movie.
What was your favorite kill?
There's a decapitation with a spinal column that follows. That's pretty cool, but I love that grinder scene. That's a standout for sure.
Fantastic makeup and effects on that. Just so grim.
He got Kane Hodder, too.
That actually bear mentioning as well. And he plays just a normal person as well as Victor Crowley, the mutated abomination killer in the movies.
Yeah, such a fun horror movie. Kelly didn't watch that, I imagine?
No, he watched it. Well, it's really funny. I was actually at work and I checked my email and up came confirming your purchase from Amazon. Hatchet. I'm like, oh shit, guess I'm missing that today.
Oh, well, that was the other part of the story is, yeah, I immediately had to buy Hatchet and rectify the situation.
Oh, so you watched 2 and then went back to 1?
Well, no, I had started 2 and it was shortly into it.
Yeah,
realized the error in my ways.
Sure, that's great.
Bought the first one, went back, watched it, and then jumped back to the second one. So
did you see the third?
I did not. Haven't had a chance to watch the third yet.
Oh, you're in for it.
It.
Well, that's a sterling recommendation.
While you weren't watching Hatchet, what did you end up watching?
Well, without Sam, I watched a really cool little movie called The Harvest.
Okay, Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
Is that the only other movie the director of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer did?
No, he's done a few, but you're correct. It is the same director. John McNaughton is his name.
What else has he done?
In fact, I had looked it up the other night when I watched it because I was curious. And that's when I found out.
Wild Things.
Oh, that's not a...
What is Wild Things?
Are you kidding me? Were you a teenager?
I was never a teenager, no.
Like the famous threesome scene, everybody.
Nev Campbell.
Are you
Denise
talking
Richards.
about Cruel Intentions?
No, I'm talking about Wild Things.
I've never seen it. but doesn't
Denise
matter.
Richards, Nev Campbell.
I don't need to.
Bacon. I thought
don't
you'd
need
seen
to-
every Bacon movie.
Anyway,
I've never seen a Bacon.
The Harvest.
The Harvest. It was pretty good. I had never heard of it, so I went in with nice and low expectations. Had kind of an insane cast. Samantha Morton, Michael Shannon, and Peter Fonda, which I was like, okay, well, it can't be bad, clearly. And it was good. It was not the kind of horror movie that I typically gravitate to.
This is the third week in a row you've said that.
Well, because I'm branching out.
I appreciate it.
In other words, there were no aliens, no ghosts.
That's your speed.
That is my speed.
Like between 22 and 25.
Cryptids, aliens,
Hey, we'll
ghosts.
get you there.
Yeah, I guess.
Possessions,
Sure.
But this was one of those reality-based horrors. But it was
Is it a
actually pretty good.
Munchausen's?
I'm not going to ruin it because there are a couple interesting things that happen that some people will see coming, other people will not. But it does center around a family and a boy who is very, very sick. It's almost like a Secret Garden type scenario where the neighbor girl comes in to try and hang out and make friends with him. But it's really good acting, which kind of goes without saying because it's got those actors in it. But the son in it is actually also the son from Wayward Pines.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And he, I think, is great. I think he did a good job in Wayward Pines. They didn't give him a huge opportunity. There weren't a ton of major parts with him, I don't think.
He had a couple of featured episodes.
Yeah, I mean, but feel like the principal really her part was kind of more of a domineering part. You know what I mean? He blended in a bit more. He was very good in this. I'm hoping we see him in more things because he was really entertaining to watch. And I probably should refer to him with an actual name. Charlie Tahan.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool name.
Yeah. He was also in Gotham for a few episodes, apparently, though I never watched that.
As who? Was he young Bruce Wayne? Is that right?
Jonathan Crane.
Oh, I know Johnny Crane.
Yeah.
We go way back.
I kept trying to figure out on Wayward Pines, actually, where I knew him from. And I think he was on Law & Order SVU a few years back, and that was where I first saw him.
Too many episodes of that show.
He plays Liv's kid, I'm pretty sure.
Liv who?
Are you kidding me?
I mean,
Liv who?
I don't watch that show. There's too many episodes. They've got like 100 seasons.
Okay, what
Are
else?
you okay? I startled you with that.
SVU is incredible, although it's very hard for me to watch now.
Yeah, okay.
So that was my big watch for the week. I don't know if this really counts, but I've been watching Fargo.
Because the first season came out on Netflix, as well as The Harvest, which you can watch as well.
Correct. Haven't we been watching Fargo on Hulu? I think we have.
Is it on Hulu?
It might
Maybe
be
it's
on
on Hulu Plus.
It might be on Netflix too, but we've been watching it on Hulu.
Real quick, Hulu introduced the commercial-free option.
Yep.
Did you guys?
I'm lobbying very
No,
hard for it.
such a waste of money.
I threw in. It's $3 a month.
For no commercials.
It's actually incredible the experience you get on Hulu without commercials. Because you know how sometimes you miss something and you want to like click back?
And you get to watch the whole commercial again.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
wait,
and that's
it's
unfortunate.
$3?
$3.
That's all?
It's
okay.
$7.99 to $11.99.
Okay, that's $4.
Four. I don't know math.
Really, Byron? It's $7.99 to
I just actually
$11.99
don't
free?
Byron, it checked out to me.
It mattered
So it's
so little to
50%
me.
more.
It mattered so little that I just did it because the commercial free option is. And honestly, I was one of my friends that didn't complain when the commercials happened because you're paying such a small amount of money for so much content.
Oh, you should have complained.
No, it doesn't matter. It's 30 seconds. It's better than a normal commercial break on normal TV.
It is, but commercials are one of the huge reasons. Well,
They're also one of the reasons that we're able to have so much programming.
No,
Think
that's
about
not how
that.
it works. Commercials don't make movies
Yeah, but
or TV, Byron. They just sit there and make me buy things.
that's true. Networks don't make money off of commercials at all.
Oh, you do not understand how this works.
I'm sorry. I thought $7.99 was $4.
And what's with all the ads I've been getting on my torrent server?
Back to Fargo, though.
Really enjoying it. My dad had been bugging me to watch it and just too many other things that we were watching. So he's been bugging me to watch it for a while.
They're hour-long episodes, right? It's kind of an undertaking.
It is, but I'll tell you what, Billy Bob is freaking incredible in it.
How's Adam Goldberg? I love that guy.
That's Bilbo.
I don't know the show.
No, Adam Goldberg is one of the two hitmen.
Right. He's great. His beard is great. He's got a good beard in that show.
He's got a good beard overall. He's got a band called the
Goldberg.
It's the Goldberg Sisters or Goldberg
Gold
Twins.
Diggerberg.
Keep talking. I'm going to look it up. It's great.
Okay.
Do you like Coconut Records?
Not a clue what you're saying to me
Jason
right.
Schwartzman's band?
I didn't know we had a
It's
band.
a lot like that.
The only actor band I know about is Sir Gosling's.
That's
okay.
it?
Yep. Wish they'd come out with a new one. Okay. He's amazing. Bilbo's amazing. Odenkirk is amazing.
It is the Goldberg sisters. Odenkirk's in this?
Odenkirk's in it. He plays the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's really good.
I mean,
You know who else is in it? Dennis from Always Sunny.
in a serious role.
Well,
I guess relatively serious.
I mean, it really carries the Coen brothers flavor of having some dark humor throughout.
yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, so it's good. I'm very much enjoying it. We watched an episode last night and I was like, oh, that must be the season finale because it felt very final. But it turns out it was only 6 of 10.
Did Buscemi get shot in the face in this?
Well, LaBouche is not in this one.
Oh, okay.
Just the film. He's not in this one.
Sure.
The character that is his-ish character is Bilbo.
Is he going to get shot in the face?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh,
Is
no,
it-
that isn't. No, Goldberg is more his character, isn't it? I always forget who LaBouche played. Or maybe that's more... Oh, that could be actually Billy Bob's character, do you think?
God.
I don't really know. It's a little bit different from the movie.
Byron, how was your week, man? What did
Stellar,
you do?
though. Stellar.
I had a good week. Not a typical week for Byron McKoy when it comes to horror. I feel like I've been saying this every week, but I happened to watch 2 movies from an era that I dislike heavily.
Old?
Old movies. You're right. So I walked into my friend's house this weekend and a movie had been playing for 5 or 10 minutes. The credits had just ended and I said, hey, what are you watching? He's like, why don't you guess? Because he knew that I know a lot about horror films. So I started looking for the visual cues and I struggled a bit until I saw a red shirt with yellow writing that said Stephen King Rules. Do you know this shirt, Sam?
I'm not familiar with that shirt.
Nor do I.
It's the shirt made famous by the cult classic film from 1987, Monster Squad.
Oh, it's streaming now.
It is, but it was on DirecTV. But either way, yeah, I did just see it pop up on Netflix as well. So it's Monster Squad season. Have you seen it?
Not for so long. I loved it. It was one of my favorites when I was
saw
a
it
kid.
pop up and I actually thought about watching it, but I knew it was one of his favorites, so I'm going to wait and watch it with him.
And I knew it was one of my favorites, and Kelly would want to watch it with me.
You guys are cute.
Oh, see, sometimes we're cute, aren't we?
Kelly, you have seen this?
No, I haven't. Never saw it.
Definitely not my kind of thing. 1987, directed by Fred Decker. For those that don't know, which I imagine if you're listening to a horror podcast, you're pretty familiar with Monster Squad. If not, check it out.
Hey, hold on. No shaming. What
I'm
if
just-
they could be like me? I'm doing the podcast and I didn't see
That's
it.
fine. I'm just a group of outcast kids dubbed the Monster Squad find themselves in over their heads when a quintet of horror movie monsters invade their small town, looking for a lost amulet that will help them rule the world. It's a group led by Dracula. Dracula calls all of the, I guess, it wasn't Universal, but they were basically all of the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
The Mummy. Was there a Wolfman?
Frankenstein. Was there a Wolfman? There was a Wolfman and his nards.
Yes, there was. Oh,
Wolfman have nards?
Is
Okay, I'm starting to understand why I didn't watch this when I was a kid. That never would have gotten by Dad.
Wolfman has nards, and we find out in this movie it's fine.
What do you think it would spoil any childhood memories of mine if I went back and watched it again now?
No, I think you'd love it. It's right up your alley. It's kind of like Bill and Ted's Excellent Horror Adventure, kind of. It doesn't
that's a
have as
good
much time
description.
travel or any, I guess.
So none.
But I enjoyed it. It's just, you know me. It's not my type of...
And it's not really horror. It's a dark adventure for kids.
A year before that, a movie came out called Night of the Creeps that I watched for the first time this week.
Really?
Have you seen this?
Doesn't sound familiar.
Hold on, that sounds really familiar to me.
It's a major cult classic. I've been meaning to watch this for a long time. It mixes elements of, slashers, alien invasion, and zombies. So it's got a little bit of something for everyone.
Sounds a little bit like Spaced Invaders.
I don't think it's really like Space Invaders.
Nothing's like Spaced Invaders.
The movie opens up in 1959 on a spaceship, but I'm going to ignore that and move along to the at the time present year of 1986. In order to impress a girl, 2 geeks attempt to join a fraternity by pulling the old steal the body prank.
Is that an old prank?
Yeah.
That one?
Byron, remember all those times
yeah.
when you were in EMT school at the cadaver lab?
Things were crazy. Pulled pork everywhere. They break into a laboratory and accidentally release alien slugs from a cryogenic chamber. And zombie mayhem ensues, of course. Really fucking weird movie.
It's got a 69 on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's good. It's got solid practical effects. The bloodied face zombies are refreshing for sure, as opposed to those bright, ooey, gooey 80s ones from like Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That look like they're wearing Play-Doh.
Yeah, or like blue or green zombies. I can't do that. It has to be the bloody. These are like skeleton face zombies, which is kind of fun.
Love it. Where'd you watch it?
I have a DVD copy of this movie that I've been holding on to for a long time. There's so many movies on my wall that I haven't watched yet. I need to start tearing through those, but there's so much online.
When I walk by that shelf, sometimes I just want to grab you and then point to each one in sequence, ask you if you've seen it, and then mock you and make you feel bad every time you say no.
We're in such a great time where you can buy a DVD on Amazon for $4 and it shows up in your house.
Well, and not only that, there are so many good new movies.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to stay on top of them and revisit the glory days.
Yeah, all these VOD titles are actually very watchable, and it's getting in the way of my classics. The dialogue in this movie is atrocious, but they say here it's an earnest attempt at a B movie and an homage to all those.
Yeah.
It's weird though, because when I think of the homage of like B movies, I imagine the 80s.
Oh, no, B movies were from the 60s.
Well, I guess, yeah. But
40s, 50s, and 60s were where B movies originated.
that's
for sure.
true. I see what you're saying, but like the things that they were homaging, it felt like, I guess maybe people are double homaging then, because the stuff that was happening at post their 1959 flashback of a B movie is stuff that I guess we current day be homaging from back then.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the parasites and
Mind
the zombies.
That's
I mean,
very
that's
throwback
very
to like
Yeah,
Invasion of the Body
and-
Snatchers.
Yeah. Or even the Blob and things like that.
But then you look at movies like Slither, which this movie gets compared a lot to because of these slug creatures that turn people into zombies. It's very interesting. At the end of the movie, credits roll, and I see this. Directed by Fred Decker.
What a weird coincidence.
Yeah, I accidentally watched 2 Fred Decker films this week.
Well done.
That's synchronicity.
I love themes.
But that's all I watched. I didn't catch up on any of my horror TV that I'm falling behind on every day.
So give me a scale of 1 to 10.
6.
Penny Dreadful season 2.
I guess 6, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, what about what would you have given Penny Dreadful season 1?
Probably a 7, I guess.
So slightly worse, but not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
There's something about it. Now that Hannibal is officially in the grave, covered up with dirt, I need to finish that last season. I heard that past the Red Dragon stuff that they did is A+ excellent, and the way that they ended the series was great. So
Cool. Did you guys hear that they've announced the topic for Conjuring 2?
I didn't.
No.
Do you care?
Nope.
So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the first one was based on a real haunting. The second one's going to be based on a very famous real haunting, the Enfield Poltergeist.
Ooh, I love the Enfield Poltergeist.
So I'm going to talk about that tonight on Cryptids and Conspiracies of Captain Kelly.
Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies.
Enfield Poltergeist, a very interesting case. One that we have some cool audio that I believe our wonderful producer,
Don't need to say it.
our wonderful, skilled,
No,
masterful
I'm just saying you don't need to say that. We're going to be putting in
producer
audio.
is going to be playing some clips for us.
I sure will.
Okay. It's an interesting case for me because, as many of you may know at this point, I'm a bit of a believer. I like to believe in the possibilities of strange things in this world we live in. World in which we live, I suppose. However, this story leaves me fairly torn. What I'm going to do is give a brief synopsis of what happened. Then I'm going to talk about the arguments that I found that could really make it sound like it was real, and the arguments I found that could really make it sound like it was a hoax. And then I'm going to tell you what my conclusion is.
Okay.
All right. So
Do I get to say anything in the...
Please do.
Okay.
Chime in. But just know, I wanted you guys to know the order. So like when I'm talking about all of the, this is what could make it real, just know that I'm going to talk about the other side too.
Sure.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
real, true journalist over
Well, I'm
here.
trying. The setting is 1977. This little house,
It's a great year.
Enfield in London. And these sisters are playing with a Ouija board.
And the Clash is playing down the street.
No Ouijas allowed ever.
You know I have a 1965 Ouija board.
Bring it here and I will burn it. What happened after this Ouija board interaction became honestly one of the most famous hauntings, probably right alongside Amityville, and also very controversial haunting.
Are we going to talk about how Amityville kind of bullshit? it.
Maybe we'll talk about Amityville in the next couple of weeks for
Okay.
the Halloween season, because Amityville's similar to this in the fact that, well, we'll get there. Yep. This 30-year ago experience, more than 30, 35 years ago, really was impressive to the public because there were so many official figures who were brought into the situation. There were policemen, psychics, credible journalists, neighbors who were not super close to the family. All of these people reported witnessing these things themselves. That obviously added to the validity. The haunting involved levitation, both of furniture, objects around the house, and of one of the girls. Her name was Janet.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
No, just kind of flying through the air.
Okay.
Cold breezes. There were some physical assaults. Voices. Water appeared on the floor. Supposedly, there were instances of flames bursting out. And there actually, one of the people who saw something, a policewoman, actually reported seeing one of these things. So this young girl, Janet, who's the middle sister in the family, was 11 years old at the time. And one of the most strange pieces was her uttering these really guttural speeches in a very scary, raspy voice.
I come from Durham, Graveyard, and I have right near the church where Rena lives. And all my friends come from there as well. And we all make a game and go to the pub. And then we pick your house. Because I used to live here. And I will tell you the law. And if you don't tell anyone else, the sentence through and Mr. Black.
Sam, why are you yawning?
Because I have tons of energy.
Okay.
I got to yawn it out.
These hauntings occurred for more than a year, and it was this very, suburban street, very normal looking, but obviously quite a flutter with all of this activity.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. Are we calling this a haunting or a possession?
Well, so I am going to get into that as well. In all of the history and the write-ups and the news articles, it was the Enfield Poltergeist.
Okay.
But there are these elements where they talk about multiple voices coming out of these girls, and multiple girls are talking, but Janet is the one that was kind of the center of things. It's Margaret, Janet, and then they've got Johnny, a little brother, and Billy, another little brother.
That seems very similar to the Amityville situation as well.
It is. Here's the difference. Their father had just left. One of the things that is interesting about poltergeist activity, it very commonly surrounds adolescence, and it's almost always more of a energy type of thing, and definitely things move, get thrown around, but it's very rarely something like a voice coming through. That really isn't poltergeist activity. That's a whole different ball of wax. Poltergeist activity is typically more lighthearted, and it is not necessarily a physical demon or entity as much as it is just, at least according to experts,
and
some type of an energy piece.
Yes.
Well, I'm not just talking about in the movie.
I know.
Actually, in Poltergeist, they kind of misrepresent it too. So
there's voices in the movie Poltergeist, right?
Yeah. Which is a bit of a misrepresentation. So in the end, a priest came. It's been going on for like a year at this point. It's 1978. A priest came, did some blessings. Things calmed down. According to the family, it never really went away, but it did simmer down, and certainly the publicity died down. So here's kind of the really sad part of it. After everything died down, this is so grim. Okay.
I love it.
This is so grim. The youngest brother, Johnny, died of cancer when he was 14 years old.
That's not
really
cool.
sad.
It's horrible. Janet was pretty messed up from all of the publicity involved in this. Left home at 16, married young, basically lost touch with everybody. The mother got cancer and died.
Ugh.
Janet's son died in his sleep when he was 18 years old.
No reason?
No explanation. I mean, I don't know.
This is 70. Yeah. This is the years following.
Right.
Okay.
This would have been like in the 90s. I mean, the whole situation is just super bummer. So there are lots of things that people say looking back on it that would lend itself to, wow, this could have really happened. And there are also things that make it sound like this is one of the most far-fetched haunting cases that I've heard. So I'm going to talk about both sides of that for a little bit.
Was the house on a power plant?
No.
Okay.
Good question, though. Good
yeah,
question.
they're not doing good.
No.
That's bad luck.
Yeah, real bad luck. So here are things that I think lend itself to a bit of credibility in terms of the story. There were other witnesses, as I said, police reporters, neighbors who reported things, including a big burly neighbor named Vic Nottingham. This big guy is a carpenter, builder of some sort, and all the girls run over, and I guess the brothers too, run over in the middle of the night, terrified one night. So all the kids are out of the house. They're in the neighbor's house, and Vic goes back over to investigate, and he says, here's a quote from him. I went in there and I couldn't make out the noises. There was a knocking on the wall in the bedroom, on the ceiling. I was beginning to get frightened. When there are things happening, when the kids are gone and the neighbor or, a semi-removed third party is witnessing it, that makes it feel a little bit more credible.
Sure.
The police officer, the police woman who went, actually signed a sworn statement saying that she saw a large armchair move, unassisted, 4 feet across the floor. She inspected the chair for hidden wires. She actually put a marble on the ground to try and let it roll and see if it would roll one direction, like if there was enough of a slant. Couldn't find any explanation for what she'd seen. And then the police said, this doesn't appear to be a police problem. No laws are being broken. We can't do anything for you. And they left.
And they need to call the RIPD.
Well, clearly. Yeah.
Did you see that film?
No.
Of course.
Actually, did we?
No, come on.
No, we absolutely
wouldn't
did
be doing this podcast if you saw
I might have.
RIPD. Rest in
I
peace,
might
department.
have. So one of the most interesting pieces to me is the fact that this burly voice that Janet was speaking in that we heard a little bit earlier.
I'll play a little bit now again.
Oh, you're going to play some more?
Oh,
okay.
in the background. It's fun.
Okay, great. We'll play it in the background. Now that everybody heard it, I'm just going to keep talking. She at one point said, here's a quote, just before I died, I went blind and then I had a hemorrhage.
And I fell asleep and I died in a chair in the corner downstairs.
Okay, so this is actually what happened to the guy who lived in the house before them, who they were not related to. They had no connection to. His name was Bill. The fact that she knew all that information. So this isn't like now where like you could look up in 2 seconds on Google and find the history of your house and who lived there and learn maybe that somebody died there. But even now, it would be tough to know those details if you searched a house.
Even back then, you had to go to a library cellar and dig through microfiche.
Public records.
And I don't want to be disrespectful, but if you watch the videos of these kids,
they don't seem smart enough to fake it.
yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man.
exactly what I was getting at. So,
Okay.
And in fact, one of the parts that bothered me, but I also think lends itself to Janet not lying, is it seems like there's something wrong with her.
But how's the mom? That's something.
So the mom I didn't see on the camera at all.
I was listening to a story last week about a family in England whose mother and stepfather had trained their kids to talk about this satanic ritual abuse by their father. And
Wait, hold on. The father?
they said that the real father, not the stepfather,
Oh, okay.
was
Gotcha.
abusing them, and he was a school teacher, and it kind of ruined his life because they said that all of these people at the school were like sacrificing babies and eating them and making them into shoes.
What?
Yeah, a lot of England believed these two kids, and because I think it originally started with a YouTube video that the mom filmed of the kids admitting that all this stuff happened, and it spread like wildfire and ended up ruining the lives of a lot of people until the kids came clean, saying that they had made it up after watching Zorro, Mask of Zorro. Isn't that bizarre?
What inspiration was pulled from that?
I don't know. I've never seen that movie, but yeah, I'll try to think about
weird.
the case. But yeah, I'm just saying that parents can definitely influence their kids, you know?
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the things that people say in from the skeptic side. So there's an interview from 2012 on a British morning show or something like that, where Janet is interviewed again, as was one of the reporters who was there on the scene for much of this. And I have to say that was the most convincing visual piece that I saw. She is so unbelievably genuine. And again, she's not some genius. I don't think she's making it up. I think the only two options that really exist are that this happened, or she's crazy and she really does think it happened. I don't think that she's faking it.
What age was she? 13, you said?
11.
Yeah, it can be that early that signs of schizophrenia start.
Well, it could be, but if you watch the videos, I mean, it doesn't seem like that. So,
And we'll have those videos below this on Frightday.com with
Yes.
the show notes.
So those are some things that make it seem possibly fairly credible. Next are things that make it seem less credible. So the video that you watch that was filmed in 1978 of Janet and her sister, real suspicious. Lots of giggling, lots of...
Spooky giggling or jokey giggling?
No. Hello. Yes, just like that.
They're saying hello.
Well, good luck trying to understand what the hell they're saying in some of it because it's really hard to decipher.
How does it feel to be haunted by a poltergeist?
It's not haunted.
Why isn't it haunted?
I don't know.
Does it frighten you, the things that happen here?
Oh, well, it did first, but now I've got more used to it. And you learn to accept the things that happen. It's like I covered it, Mum. Might eat it, Mum. Slung a bookshelf at Mum. Yeah.
Have you tried telling it to go away?
Yes, many times. No, nothing.
And what does it reply?
No, it won't. It'll stay another 6-7 years.
What about the voices? When did the voices start?
December the 12th.
December the 12th?
Yes.
And how did this start?
Well, one night Mr. Grove was talking about it about 8:30. He said, all we need now is the voices to talk. And that night I went to bed. Can't remember exactly what happened.
What's that knocking?
Yeah, I can hear it now. I was doing that yesterday morning and Peggy was on her own. So she come in to us because it wasn't her, she come in. We sat together and we heard it. And I counted down my knocks and there was 14 altogether. And it's doing it again now.
That was 3 knocks just now.
Yes, it goes in 3s and 2s. How we first got contacted, this was when Mr. Rose said, if there's anyone there, knock twice for yes, and if not, 1 for no.
I wonder if we did that now, whether it would answer. Is anybody there? Is anybody there? Nothing. No.
Yeah. More when she fades into this voice of Bill Wilkins, the guy that lived in the house.
I'm Bill.
I mean, it seems
Bill
very
Wilkins.
suspicious.
That's my chair.
I mean, and I guess I don't know what
died
that's...
in that chair.
I don't know what I'm basing that on because obviously what I've seen are representations in movies of people doing this. So who knows? But it really didn't seem incredibly convincing. There are also some photos, which Byron, I know you mentioned earlier, of Janet
Terrifying.
flying through the air. Well, if you look at those photos, the position of her hair, the position of her muscles looks pretty cut and dry that she's jumping.
Yeah, off of a bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
I mean,
jumping on the bed.
like, good job. They caught her
That's
midair.
flying.
I do that stuff all
But
the time
nobody
for my
was-
Halloween pictures. I'm like, jump straight up and like I get
Right.
spooky witchy pictures.
Nobody threw her, I don't think, in those photos.
Wait, these pictures claim that she's flying?
Yeah, that she had been thrown through the air.
That's a stretch.
No, she's jumping from beds.
Yeah.
Really cool picture, though.
It is a cool
It
picture.
looks great.
It is a cool picture. So the other thing is the idea that this is a poltergeist and some of the activity is a
Did you see
poltergeist.
the
Like,
lights
I
just
sure did.
flicker a little bit?
Yeah.
Who are we talking to tonight?
I don't know.
oh God, you guys, I hate that. So the idea that it's a poltergeist and that those things are happening, but then also we've got this weird possession-like thread that runs throughout it that seems much more difficult to believe. There were a couple, I think it was psychic phenomena research experts that came in and actually caught the kids bending spoons themselves, trying to pretend like somebody else had bent them. It was really weird after a certain point. nobody was allowed in the same room with Janet when she was talking in the voice of Bill Wilkins. And it's at one point, Janet even admitted, yeah, some of the stuff we did was fabricated. We were just testing them.
Okay.
And she said, and I quote, "Oh yeah, once or twice we faked phenomena just to see if Mr. Gross and Mr. Playfair would catch us. They always did." Right.
I gotcha.
Right. So here's the upshot for me.
I don't like them.
First of all, I feel like there was something wrong with Janet. I'd love to hear your opinions watching those videos, and even watching the video of her now. I mean, clearly her life has been very tragic, so maybe it's just that, but she seems like something's off. Maybe emotionally, some kind of issue. Maybe she was abused. Who knows? But something does seem wrong.
Or she's being tormented by a poltergeist.
Well, and that's the thing. So I think based on all of the witness accounts, I think there were pieces of poltergeist haunting going on here. But when the kids found out that they were going to get attention for it, and this is a time, I mean, let's just be logical. Their father had just left them. There are 4 kids in this house. I'm sure the mom's struggling. Like, attention is a good thing, right? At this point.
Yeah.
So clearly they might have taken some more run-of-the-mill minor poltergeist activity and tried to turn it into something much bigger to maintain that attention. And I'm sure whether inadvertently or deliberately, I bet the mother probably encouraged that. And so I think that a lot of this, like the voice stuff and obviously the spoon things that they caught them doing, a lot of the pieces that became more melodramatic were layers that the kids added on, trying to sustain this level of interest and attention that they were getting.
Even though she did mention Bill's chair.
That's a really good point. I mean, I guess the only thing that I could say is perhaps there also was some kind of a spirit haunting there. And it may be that they learned that from the spirit. I really don't think that Bill was speaking through her, though. It just really was not convincing.
But the father leaving, we didn't talk about the fact that when you're in emotional distress, that's a lot of
poltergeist, which is why it happens during adolescence. Because everybody's, I think that there probably was some truth at the root of this. I just think a lot of what was thrown on top of it clouded that truth enough that it's become almost a hopelessly convoluted mix of hoax and reality.
Bollocks.
Yeah. Hello.
That's enough.
It's funny you brought it up. I think there's some really interesting comparisons between this and Amityville. And I'll talk about that when we go into Amityville a bit more in the next couple of episodes. But
can we someday talk about that girl who was, I think she was German or Austrian, the basis of The Exorcist?
Well, supposedly The Exorcist is kind of a conglomerate of multiple instances. But
well, there was this girl that for I think it was over a year, they just like wouldn't feed her or feed her the bare minimum because she was like, in reality, I'm afraid she was severely mentally ill. But they thought she was possessed, and she ended up dying from dehydration.
I don't know that was the inspiration for The Exorcist. Didn't that happen way after that? Didn't that happen in like the 80s?
I have no idea.
This happened in, I have no idea, but we've got lots of stories to talk about in another edition of Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies. What you doing?
I feel like a bug just flew at me.
I think you're all right.
Okay.
Guys, it's time.
What's it time for?
It's time to take a trip.
Where are we going?
We're going to Nana and Pop's house.
I love adventures.
Hey, all right.
Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to review M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit.
Hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
The Visit, a 2015 American horror comedy, they're calling it, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, the Knight himself, the man of twists. Sam, could you tell me what this film is all about?
Becca, Olivia DeJong, and younger brother Tyler, Ed Oxenbould, say goodbye to their mother as they board a train and head deep into Pennsylvania farm country to meet their maternal grandparents for the first time. Welcomed by Nana, Deanna Dunnigan, and Pop, Peter McRobbie, all seems well until the siblings start to notice increasingly strange behavior from the seemingly charming couple. Once the children discover a shocking secret, they begin to wonder if they'll ever make it home.
Theatrical horror, you guys. Traditionally, we dislike everything we see at the theater.
I'm trying to think.
And I'm very curious to know does this tradition continue? Sam, what are your thoughts on The Visit?
I thought that it was entertaining, creepy at times. The humor, to me, felt a little forced and a little flat. The M. Night Shyamalan twist, which sometimes drives me absolutely batshit in a bad way, I thought was perfect for this movie.
Smack up on you.
It did. Legitimately, I went, wow. It was kind of a back and forth between POV and third person.
Static camera.
Static cam, yeah, which is a strike against it for me. I'm basically completely over POV.
You're done with
found footage.
Yeah.
But it was done very well. It was extremely watchable. Steady enough that I didn't get a headache.
Yeah, I wrote bearable found footage, which is
Bearable.
Yeah, well, the problem is most movies that are found footage either look too good to be found footage or are just a fucking nightmare
Or
to
a
watch.
Cloverfield.
Yeah, and this somehow found a way to bridge that gap into the bearable category.
Yeah.
Sam, I'm surprised by things you're saying. When we left the theater, you seemed to be the most disappointed person in the audience.
I wasn't disappointed, but I had extremely low expectations. Like I said, I do not care for POV movies anymore. That horse has been flogged to death and back 5 times. M. Night Shyamalan is very hit or miss for me. I really enjoyed Wayward Pines.
Surprisingly so, right?
Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting, and it was fantastic. I hate most of his other movies. I hated The Sixth Sense.
Hated The Sixth
Hated
Sense.
it.
Yeah, it almost makes it hard to listen to anything you say when you say something like that.
No, I mean, I don't love it. I don't think it's the genius film that
No.
a lot
right,
of people think
but
it
how do
is.
you hate it?
I saw it in the theater when it was first released, and I was even dumber then than I am now. And I'm not bragging. I don't call movies regularly. I don't try to, but I saw what was coming 3 minutes into that movie.
Okay, you do call movies and you try to. You always do it to me.
It's fun, but let's not argue.
My point is, I feel like it was a very obvious movie. I'm not particularly observant, and I saw what was coming. Anyway,
So that was that's your review of The Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going down a rat hole about Mike's expectations were extremely low because
Yeah.
of M. Night Shyamalan, and it was a POV film, and I think the biggest strike against this movie going into it was a major theatrical Blumhouse release. Those typically, and I think that you guys will generally agree with me. Well, at least Byron, you will. They generally suck shit.
Are we talking about most of them?
The theatrical recent Blumhouse
Other than The
releases.
Gift, yeah. I mean,
Well, that was BH Tilt.
you know, honestly, I did enjoy Insidious 3, though. Remember, I gave that kind
you
of
did.
a good review.
And
of
you
that.
actually like was Sinister 2 under the same thing?
No, I don't like
wasn't it?
Sinister 2. Oh, wait, Sinister 2.
You liked
No,
it.
no. Sinister 2 is the one I like. So that's how relevant these movies are.
Well,
I get them mixed up.
They're interchangeable. But this is absolutely not to include the BH Tilt releases like
Okay.
Creep and
The Gift.
The Gift, yeah, which I think are really where Jason Blum's passion lies.
Now that we've heard the person who didn't like the movie as much talk about it,
A good place to start.
yeah,
too.
great place to start.
I apologize.
Great place to start. So this movie, I had very low expectations, and I have to be very honest. In the first 5 minutes of the movie, I was like, oh my God. So it was funny. We were in a theater filled with teenagers, and they were all talking and laughing and being typical teenagers.
Can I point out my favorite teen?
Yes.
The child. I'm going to call him a child because I'm an old person now. He had a glow stick necklace
He
on.
did.
The whole movie.
He was
only-
raving.
And he also, I think, sat in 2 places. He sat in the front left of the theater by us, also in the back right. And he switched between those spots
lot.
several times during the movie.
It was one of the worst crowds I've
Okay,
ever
but
been in.
no. So here's the thing. First 5 minutes of the movie, I realized I can't be upset at this crowd. This is the crowd that belongs here. I don't belong here. There were these horrible jokes and the dialogue was ridiculous. But here's the thing. It was perfect because it was 100% authentic to this. What were they supposed to be, like 12 and 15-year-old kids? It was perfect. And as the movie went on, just as often happens with kids, they're freaking annoying to begin with. And then you start to see the more vulnerable side to them. And you start to not be completely driven nuts by them. And you start to then actually buy into their cause or their journey that they're on. And by the end of it, I was totally on board with these two. And I thought that the way that Shyamalan transitioned us from one point to the next was perfect.
It was graceful. I
was.
completely agree. Small cast, and even though I didn't like the main two characters, the older sister and the younger brother at first, the sister's an obnoxious, pretentious filmmaker, and her brother is this freestyle rapping, freshly 13-year-old.
Right.
They drop a bunch of hip things like Tyler, the Creator. They say stuff like that throughout. It could have gone extremely wrong, like in The Gallows, where they try to portray young people.
Yep.
But for some reason, I never questioned that these two characters were related.
Yep. Absolutely.
Did that get
totally.
You? It seemed very authentic, this whole situation.
I mean, honestly, the girl and how pretentious she was, it was perfectly authentic. It
was frustrating, but
it was totally annoying.
In an annoying little sister way.
Right, exactly. So side note, Nana and Pop Pop, I don't know if you guys picked this up, but Pop Pop is Father Lantom.
We need a pop filter on your mic. Say Pop Pop again.
Pop Pop?
Yeah, it comes right through hard.
Pop Pop?
Yeah.
Pop.
No, it's fine. It's just...
Pop Pop.
Don't do that.
He plays Father Lantom in Daredevil. I don't know if you guys
didn't see
picked that
Daredevil.
up.
I know you both like that show quite a bit.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's just, it's also not horror. But.
I really liked it. Yeah, we aren't going to do spoilers. We're not going to give away, I almost hate to say that there's a twist, but I guess when you go to see a Shyamalan movie, you know that at some point there's going to be a twist. I guess that's a given.
It's funny. Is he ever not gonna? That would be the ultimate knighting, is if he just did a straight movie.
No, see, the way that he tells stories is so powerful and in tune for me personally.
A bit too powerful at the end.
See, I love it. But I do have to say, I could have done without the last 5 minutes.
That's
of the
what
movie.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And we won't talk
about why, but there was a point at which I think they could have stopped the movie and it would have been a more powerful ending than where it ended up. But I get why he does that. In terms of the twist and the way that he wraps a story around and it comes full circle and it's all nicely tied up with a bow at the end, I freaking love that. Like, it really appeals to my control freak nature to know exactly how things come about and to be fooled and surprised, but then also to feel like everything's resolved at the end. It's a warm, comfy storytelling format for me.
Cool thing about this package that he wrapped up that I appreciate more than a lot of his other movies is it's not gaudy at all.
Yes, I agree.
It didn't try to be too smart.
He dialed it back.
This is the first twist he's done that isn't offensive.
Anybody could write some random fucking thing that doesn't fit with anything else that's happened. That's great.
And back to the kids for just a minute.
Sure, yeah.
The brother, so Ed Oxenbould.
Has he been in any other things?
He has. And that's what I was going to mention.
Sure.
Alexander and the no good, horrible, very bad day.
Yeah.
And when I saw that it was the same kid, I went, oh, because I didn't see that movie, but the preview made it look real obnoxious.
Yeah.
But I thought he actually, again, did a very good job. I thought that they did a good job of playing the annoying kids. They did a good job of making us believe they were siblings. And when shit got real, they did a good job of being scared without being annoying scared. I think they pulled that off really well.
I just picked up one thing that I think is a bit overwhelming that bothers me about this movie. Remember in Signs how Joaquin Phoenix's character quit baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In this movie, the little kid quit football and has kind of this similar overcoming your fears moment.
It's different. The football thing has to do with his dad.
Well, but I'm just saying they're overcoming this.
That's what all of Shyamalan's are about. If you trace it, that's what Unbreakable is about. That's what every single. I mean,
but
he has
the theme is pretty obvious.
Well, he has a very standard fairy tale theme that he follows, but that's what I like. He dresses it up differently. But I also just, again, fun trivia, discovered that both Olivia DeJonge and Ed Oxenbould are Aussies.
Really? The grandparents?
No, the kids.
The kids
both the kids are Aussies. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I thought they did a great job with their accents. I always wonder why it is that people from outside of America can pull off English accents easily, but so many Americans cannot pull off British or Australian accents successfully.
You know what I think it is? I think that we spread our culture in such a wide net that that's what people watch when they're in Australia and in England. They're influenced from an early age with the American accent and American culture.
I watch a lot of British stuff. I wish I had a British accent. I'd sound so much smarter.
Hello.
True. but not your British accent.
The weirdest thing about this whole conversation is that we have not yet talked about the fact that this is a scary movie. We've talked about the interactions between the kids and the reality of their annoyingness and obnoxiousness, but we haven't gotten to the fact that this actually turns at a point.
Scary as hell. Also, the most infused with humor of any of M. Night's. He always has a little tinge of humor in it. This was the heaviest in humor. And again, at the beginning, I went, oh God, this is going to be so bad.
Like in The Happening when everyone died.
Yes, just like that.
That was amazing.
But I thought
funny.
the humor also, like the kids, really grew on me as the movie went on, and I loved it.
Like you said, you've mentioned this.
Yeah.
The slow fade was actually really cool. They didn't have a single initial interaction that started the fear, just that slow suspicion. Mm-hmm. And that's all due to Nana and Pop Pop. Amazing actors and
so good.
It reminded me a lot of, and I think this will find its way into the ranks of the really fantastic, sticky urban legends. Again, without giving anything away, I think this is in the ranks of, and then they got home and the hook was hanging from the roof, or the killer's calling from upstairs in your house. I think it had that kind of an impact and just really does send a shiver up your spine.
I imagine the resolution of this film is probably seen somewhere else in some sort of Twilight Zone episode. I know you both have seen more Twilight Zone than I've.
It seems very Twilight Zone-y. I couldn't identify one, but you're absolutely right. The tone and the style is very...
I'd be curious if you listener knows of Twilight Zone episode that is similar to the plot line of this movie, you should let us know at Frightday on Twitter. I'm very curious.
Crack the visit code.
But to me, this is effective because I personally am terrified of old people.
What do they call that?
You're a terrible person.
Is that
an actual phobia?
Gerontophobia, I believe.
Geronimo?
No, gerontophobia, the fear of the elderly, which I thought they unfairly attached to ageism. I did skip my grandma's birthday to watch this movie.
What birthday was it,
I
Byron?
think it's probably your 89th birthday. But
Byron, that's mean.
A lot more you're going to catch up with later.
Probably, yeah, she's looking good.
Byron.
There's just something about how old people are fragile and closer to dying, which makes me closer to dying. And there's a couple moments in this movie that really highlight the changes that happen when you get old that were almost like false scares on the kids. I know there's a couple moments where they have to sit them down and say, your grandpa is blank, blank,
Right.
I'm so sorry. And they're so ashamed. And there's kind of that it's just such an uncomfortable experience for me. Mm-hmm. It makes it really effective in a horror way that I haven't seen before. I don't know if there's old people based horror films, but this turns a little bit of reality into horror for a while.
Yeah, it was so good.
That didn't scare you, a couple of those moments?
When they sat the kids down? No, that didn't scare me.
It didn't make
when she was in the rocking chair.
Well, that's when things get real scary. But we're not going to spoil any of that because it's completely unnecessary and it needs to be seen by you.
So since we're not spoiling, should we talk about what we give it?
Real quick, I wanted to bring up the fact that this movie has some similar elements to Paranormal Activity. Did you notice the day 1, day 2, day 3 thing?
Yep. That's lets us know we're counting down to something.
Right.
Yeah, or just an increasing
because we knew how many
level
days the kids were going to be there.
The same way in Paranormal Activity, they do like day 6, day 12, and it increases, it really ramps up the terror.
I agree. Yeah.
I just thought that you would like that since that's your favorite movie, but you're falling
it's
asleep.
Not my favorite movie. I just like them.
Sure, I know.
You guys are mean about them. I like them.
They do that in Hell House too.
What's Hell House?
Oh, they do. They do in The Haunting too. I think the original one.
They go day 1, day 2 like that?
I believe they do.
I think it's effective. Original concept. If all found footage films were like this, I'd love them.
Totes.
I was wondering about that. Do we actually call this found footage? Because she's
I guess it's almost mockumentary because she's making a documentary. With. Did she make this movie?
I think that was the idea.
Interesting.
I just don't know. I mean, is it? I just call it POV.
It's an overarching.
Are we talking in Venn diagrams now?
No, Kelly. What would you give this movie?
8.0.
8.0.
Mm-hmm.
For what reasons? All the things we just said.
Yeah, all the things we just said. I have to say I am on the opposite end of the spectrum as Sam. I love M. Night. It's hard for me to find a movie that I don't like. I love The Village. I love Signs. I love Unbreakable.
Lady in the Water.
Lady in the Water.
Is it girl or lady?
Who cares?
I think it's Lady, and it was meh.
Yeah.
But I like Devil. I liked Wayward Pines.
She only produced Devil.
However, I have to say that this feels like a real M. Night resurgence, back to glory days M. Night. Between this and Wayward, I think we're in store for more good things from him. And hopefully he keeps picking such awesome casts, because this group worked together really well. And
relatively unknowns.
yeah, I mean, all of them had kind of small, you might recognize the face, but none of them had huge, overbearing characters that we attach to them, which makes it, I think, in some ways easier as long as you've got good acting talent to deal with. And they did. It was great. 8-0. See it.
I would like to see M. Night make a movie about a Greyhound bus traveling from Seattle to Portland. And it stops along the way and just keeps letting on more and more weird people. And we just get to know each of them and how terrible they are. So it's like you're really on the bus.
Are you pitching
But then
this?
it's in real time. And the twist is that he just made a movie that was driving a bus from Portland to Seattle. So it's just like 7 hours, 8 hours
I could see it.
of terrible people.
That's actually a really fun idea.
It's a horrible idea. And where did that come from?
I give it
You sure you want to let that out to the world?
6.0.
6.0.
Yeah, there were some incredibly effective jump scares, great set pieces. The set design was, I guess it was all on location, but it was an excellent, creepy old house. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
I give it a 6.8. I really enjoyed myself. I was legitimately nervous about this experience. Theater full of the worst children.
Oh, it was terrible.
They actually weren't that bad, you guys. Let's be honest.
No, they were bad. They were just like me when I was a kid. Terrible.
I don't know. By the time the movie got going, I actually think they did a good job.
I did verbally shush them several times.
A few.
Yeah, but
It was ineffective.
I'm a cranky person. Movie not only looks good, it is good. The Visit is a bad movie that I ended up loving. I don't know. It's kind of indescribable why I like this movie. And I remember thinking for several hours after, trying to break down the reasons why. But I think bottom line, it's fun. It's a fun movie.
And it's unique. I think it is unique.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
6.8. And that's our review of M. Night's The Visit, a movie that you can watch now, hopefully in theaters. I would imagine it's going to be there for a couple weeks.
I think it'll stick around. It's doing pretty well at the box office.
If you happen to see The Visit, I would be very curious to know what your thoughts are. Tweet us at Frightday on Twitter. Oh, Kelly.
Yeah.
Do you know what time it is?
Can we please not?
Nope. It's time for... EVP, or electronic voice phenomenon, is a common practice within the field of parapsychology and on this podcast. It's used to capture answers and concerns of residual spirits. So far, haven't heard much. But tonight could be the night. Oh man, who do we talk to?
I don't wanna.
Might want to see if my grandpa's there.
Oh, that makes me sad.
I'm sorry, but I mean,
No, I'm
Fits
gonna
with
cry.
the theme.
yeah, let's find out if my grandpa is a ghost or if he's not.
Okay.
You gonna be okay? If the spirit of my... Oh, I've got two grandpas too. If either spirit of either of my grandfathers are with us today, could you just make your presence known? Thanks, grandfathers.
Oh God.
What, are you sad about it?
Yeah. No, I'm sad and scared, and that's a shitty combination.
It's okay. We'll be fine.
Yeah. I hate it when you tell me I'll be fine.
We'll
he said we'll be
we'll
fine.
be fine
Well,
altogether.
he will because he's leaving.
As a group, we
Yeah,
will
but
be
I'd
fine.
be taking them with me. You know, Kelly, spirits don't haunt locations; they haunt people.
Depends.
That's not-
Some spirits.
No, we can make it whatever we want because it's all
No.
Fake.
all magical.
Oh, guys, this has been a blast, but it's been dark for a while.
Yeah,
It has.
and not only because it's on toward our favorite season.
It's time for sleeps.
Yeah.
Lots of great people have been supporting Frightday.com by picking up pins and shirts. We've been getting great pictures of people wearing their stuff.
You guys are seriously the best.
Legit the best.
Amazing.
I just shipped some Norman Bates fan club pins overseas.
Sweet.
Very soon here, maybe by the time you're listening to this, there's going to be some more merch up at shop.frightday.com.
What kind of merch, Byron?
I mean, it's a segment specific.
Segment specific. What segment?
Evie, is it those Evie Please?
It's the Evie Please
beanies?
t-shirts. The Evie beanies. Oh, it's going to be great. I can't wait till those are out.
Fans,
I think people are going to really like
They're
those.
going to just jump on them.
Yeah, all the ensigns should really...
big news, fans. We won. The shirts are getting captain on them.
Let me know.
Winner for us.
It's funny that you can win and yet we all lose.
But there's other ways to support our podcast. Dare I say, even more important than picking up clothing.
Uh-oh.
More important and free.
Absolutely. You can log on to iTunes, subscribe to our show, and rate and review it. People who do will receive a free button pack. All you need to do is email contact@frightday.com after you do, and we'll send you cool stuff. Maybe a note from Kelly or a playlist from Sam.
Ooh.
I don't know about a playlist. I mean, maybe 3 song suggestions on a napkin.
What do I have to do?
I don't know. It doesn't
What do they have
something.
What do they have to do? Why?
They just need to write the review, and then we'll send you some cool stuff. That's all there is to it.
I would love the playlist.
You're going to receive a playlist or write one?
Whatever.
Okay. Guys, this has been a good time.
It has.
I'm really happy that we're all happy about this movie.
I am too. I can't wait to see what he makes next.
And I'm really happy that you guys are listening to our show. There's been a lot of new listeners, so don't be afraid to stop by and say, hey, we've all got social media. Sam, where can we find you on the internet?
I am tweeting at Sam Frightday, and you can email me, sam@frightday.com.
I am tweeting at Kelly Frightday, and you can email me at kelly@frightday.com. And I just realized I've never done this, but I should probably say it's Kelly, in case
You think
anybody
they're
needs to
throwing
know
the I
that.
in?
Well, some people have EY, some people throw, IE.
Our listeners are pretty smart.
They're very smart, but also some of them spell their names differently. I don't want to judge.
And that's probably helpful, actually. I didn't realize how many... We looked at the analytics or whatever, the stats.
Statistics, yeah.
We have so many new folks from outside the continental U.S. listening, which is awesome.
Pretty cool. And I'm at Byron McKoy on Twitter. Byron@frightday.com is my email address. And I'm trying to think of a different way to say favorite serial killer. But this week, that man is Ted Bundy.
Oh,
I call him the Log Man. And until next Frightday, I'm Byron.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Sam.
Don't clean the oven.